G'day everybody, Ed here. And I want to talk to you today about something that's going to be really useful for some of you, but quite a few of you not at all. So let me get straight to the point. This video and what we're proposing to do in a very cool project is really for people with an existing business. Okay, there's lots of stuff we've got coming down the pipe this year for beginners and for people who are just starting out or hobbyists in terms of online business or even traditional business. Today's not for you, okay? Today I want to speak directly to existing business owners that have a marketing budget or they have access to a marketing budget. Okay, got that clear? Excellent. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about. Today we're talking about something really exciting, something we've been working on for the past few months. Some of you may know, some of you may have even been previous mentoring students. For the past 3 years, I'd run a one-on-one coaching program where I'd work individually with a person one-on-one. And it was great. It really did produce some amazing results. I got a lot out of it and the participants got a lot out of it. But when I looked this year, I've had so many things influence me, particularly over the last 6 or so months, that I felt that doing a traditional mentoring program would not be the best use of time. See, last year, one of the best things that I got to do was 6 times last year, I was actually able to go on site with a group of no more than 12 business owners, and we'd spend 2 days working on each other's business using a very special process, a process that was invented by a guy called Chet Holmes, called the PEQ process. And it's amazing, it never ceases to get results. It's a wonderful experience, and being able to work together in a group situation like that was really fabulous. So that was one thing. The second thing was really checking out all the latest material on what Tim Ferriss calls, and I think is a brilliant way to describe it, meta-learning. The advances that we've seen in terms of areas of willpower and how people actually implement change, that has changed entirely from 3 or 4 years ago. There really are some specific steps and specific processes that you need to do to implement things. And what I found, particularly with existing business owners, and as disciplined and as fantastic as they are, if they were doing something during the day and they were working hard on that and they were making decisions constantly, to try do some sort of online business after that was really hard, and they were pushing something that's smelly uphill. I just had to bail out of that analogy. This was a huge thing, and having read Willpower, which is an amazing book, looking at Tim Ferriss's stuff, and also the work Clay Christensen and James Allworth did in How You Will Measure Your Life, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we could take the best bits of mentoring, working online, groups, the PEQ process, which is so fundamental, and these new meta-learning techniques. What would happen if we put that all together and applied it to people who have got something that they can really apply it to, hence the existing business's requirement? Well, that thing that we've come up with is called MetaEdge. Let me tell you about it. We're really excited about MetaEdge, and to trial it, we're only going to start with a very, very small number of people, and we are going to limit it to, most of these programs go over a year. It's not what we're going to do here. We're going to do it over a 3-month period, because the latest science tells me if we're going to actually make a change, if we're going to do something in your business, it's either going to happen or not in 3 months. You're either serious about it or you're not serious about it. And fortunately, I think there are some processes which you can apply which work best in this group type situation that we're going to create in MetaEdge to be able to get you to implement those changes. So we've talked about who this is not for. It's not for beginners. Who is it for? The people that I think this will work really well with are people who have got an existing business, and it may be at the moment the business is at a bit of a plateau, or it started to maybe degrade a little bit. It's something that, or you've got a good opportunity and you really want to ram it home, and you want to work individually and as part of a group with not only me, but the key team members, Rob Somerville, Guru Bob, Dan Rain, who for the first time ever will be working with a private group, and of course John Bass. Us four, plus a group of prior interviewed business owners working together over a period of 12 weeks only, because there's a deadline. Because what we know is deadlines work. So it's only going to be a 12-week period. If we decide to do it after that, who knows? We certainly will never do it as cheaply as this ever again, that is for sure. Because this is our first go. So we'll be working it out with you. So what's involved? What we're going to do is a very specific process with some seriously different twists. That first twist is, of course, this is by application only. In other words, once you pay the fee, and if you're asking, by the way, what's the fee? It's $1,000 a month for 3 months. And for this first one, you'll pay a $3,000 deposit straight away, and that will get you an interview with me personally to see if we're right for each other to go forward to MetaEdge. And of course, if it works out that's not the case, you'll immediately get your money back. Now, very important for you to understand, and this is a key part of the whole process of MetaEdge, there are no guarantees, there are no refunds. You either absolutely want to do this after I describe what you want to do or not. The reason I wanted to put the price there now is because we know from our Pitch Anything training that if you're just sitting around wondering what the price is, then you won't listen to what I've got to say next, because what I've got to say next is so revolutionary and so important that I really want you to know and listen and be able to focus and concentrate, because this is unlike anything you've seen before. So, what's this all about? What happens inside MetaEdge? There's a very specific process. You and a small group of fellow business owners who I have personally spoken to and interviewed will become part of a group. And depending on the time zones of where everybody's at, because this is something that we really want to work no matter where you are in the world, the point is that it's an online program. You just need to be able to commit 12 weeks to that program, and you'll understand why the commitment part is so important. So, once you get in, you'll become part of a private forum which you'll have access to be able to, and it's not a forum for discussing the day, the weather, new tactics, whatever. It's specifically there for you to feedback from the PEQ process during the week, and also be able to provide information and background information on your acts of accountability. What's acts of accountability, I hear you ask? I'll get to that in a tick. But what are we going to do first? The first thing is we have to understand your business. Dan Rain, Rob Somerville, John Bass and myself want to hear your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. And we want to do this in a very special way, because we know that there is a specific process which works, which is far superior for getting across information in a period of time. And what's it called? It's called Pacha-Kacha. Pacha-Kacha. What did I just say? Well, believe it or not, that is Japanese for chit-chat. And Pacha-Kacha, which is Japanese for chit-chat, and hopefully I've pronounced it right, is a very set presentation format which has taken the world by storm. Here's how it works. You have 20 slides, but each slide is on auto, and you have 20 seconds per slide, which means your presentation is exactly 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. Using this format, we want you to tell us about your business, where you're at, where you want to grow it, where you see the opportunities, where you see the threats. Most importantly, what we want you to talk to us about is what's hard. So many people focus on the opportunities. We're wired that way, right? Particularly entrepreneurs. We want to have the positives. We want to think about that. That's not why you're in MetaEdge. The MetaEdge is to, I was going to say pick off the scab. That might be a bit gross. But seriously, we want to know what's hard and we want to work on what's hard, because when you have a group working in a PEQ fashion, which I'm coming to next, on what's hard, you'll see the changes. You will see the dramatic effects. That's how this thing is going to work. So, first thing you can do is present to the group, and that'll give us the opportunity to give us your first cut of things that we can look at. Because often the things you think are problems, when you present to the outside world thinks you've got a completely different problem. It's an eye-opening process, and one that I think you'll love. And it's fascinating listening to other businesses, because you'll find often incredible similarities and quite amazing differences, and where you can help each other out. That's that masterminding effect starting to work. Now, I mentioned 12 weeks. A huge part of what we're doing here in MetaEdge is making sure the change occurs, that you implement the things that you are taught and you discover through the MetaEdge process. And we're going to do that in a way which is pretty radical. And you may want to think and maybe even rewind this little bit, because what I'm about to say is absolutely on point. Okay, you ready? We're going to have acts of accountability. If you are accountable to a group, all the stats show, and some amazing studies, read that book, Willpower, amazing book. If you have outside accountability, you are far, far more likely, indeed 70% more likely, to do the thing that you committed to do. This is what this group is going to provide. It's going to provide acts of accountability. So you are going to commit, and this is an interesting piece of science, at least one act of accountability each week, but no more than 3. Because trying to implement more than 3 is ridiculous. Nobody does it. And that's often a big problem people do. They give themselves a to-do list of 20 or 30, and then nothing happens. That's not going to happen here. Acts of accountability. Up to 1 and up to 3. And at the next group session the following week, you will have done it, or you will have not done it. But if you haven't done it, we're going to juice this and goose this in a way which I think is radical, certainly has never been done in this type of mastermind or teaching environment, but is incredibly effective. Indeed, it is the most effective way known to humankind to get you to change, to get you to do something. You know what that is? Putting your money where your mouth is. Hang on. Ed, did you say money where my mouth is? Yes, that's exactly what I said. We are going to be using a service called Stick. Now, here's how this is going to work. This is awesome. There have been a number of studies which show that human beings will do far more to avoid loss than to seek opportunity or comfort. Pleasure, if you will. A group of Yale professors tested this process. And indeed, out of this process came some absolutely categoric studies that people will do this. So, as part of MetaEdge, guess what? Every week, you will have to meet your act of accountability. If not, you will lose money. Yes, you'll lose money. And you'll lose it to the most horrific thing you can possibly imagine. Stay with me and I'll explain what horrible fate happens and occurs to your money if you don't meet your acts of accountability. Here's how it works. Over the course of the whole period, you are going to put up $50 every week. So that's 12 times $50. So you're going to need a budget of $600. If you meet your acts of accountability, congratulations. You get to keep your money for that week. Goes into the pool. All right? If you don't, you lose the money. And the money goes to probably one of the most horrific fates that I could possibly think of it. And it has to, because if it goes to somewhere really positive, like a great charity or something like that, you'll justify and rationalise to yourself that this money is going to a good cause, so that's okay. I stuffed up. I didn't make my act of accountability, but at least the money's going to a great place. Well, guess what? You lose, the money's going to the worst place possible that I can imagine. Dan Rain's minibar bill. Yes, you heard it right. Dan Rain's minibar bills are, trust me, and according to our CFO, monumental. And that is where your money will go. I'm being deadly serious about this. Stick, check out the site, the URL's there on the screen, is phenomenal. It has incredible effect. And even though, $50 a week, the concept of not delivering on your act of accountability, A, to be bluntly embarrassed in front of your peers, and to lose the money, and the losing the money is the key part. I think we'll see this being the most effective 12-week period in business in your business life. Now, of course, you need an umpire in Stick, and guess who the umpire is? Yes, not only me, of course, but Dan Rain, John Bass, Rob Somerville and myself will be the arbiters of whether you have met your act of accountability for that week, for the 12 weeks. Because I know that if you can do that act of accountability each week during the 12-week period, boy oh boy, you will advance so far in your business. We're not here for giggles. This is about breaking that plateau. This is about you shaking the shackles of what you've been doing. In fact, was it Einstein, I think, who said, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. MetaEdge is going to shatter your current issues. We're going to blast away the bad habits of business that keep people from implementing. And typically, it's not strategy, it's not tactics. It's what's going on up here. So we're going to use the latest meta-learning techniques to ensure that you deliver during the 12 weeks. It's going to be pretty amazing, but the amazing bit is this next part. PEQ. PEQ. Performance Enhancement Quotient. I believe Jay Abraham came up with the terminology, and the technique I was taught by Chet Holmes, and it's nothing short of revolutionary. I have used it every year for the past 10 years when I've been taught this technique. It's the best way to work in groups to achieve incredibly positive outcomes. On the screen while I'm talking to you, you're seeing some screenshots of some results of PEQs that we ran, for example, for the launch of Magcast. Have a look at some of these things. They're incredible. And these lists of action items that we could do for the problem that we were tackling were generated by people from all sorts of backgrounds, from surf shop owners to real estate agents to IT guys, to all sorts of people. And it's this brilliant process. And again, don't take my word for it. Have a look at some of the PEQ testimonials below for some names that you might recognize. It is a thing that I know colleagues of mine who have experienced it have taken it and used it in their own programs because it works so well. It gives everybody the ability to contribute, and what happens is you get this incredible feedback on a particular issue you bring to the group, and you will get at least one PEQ during these 12-week periods. But here's the thing, you think, oh, okay, but won't other people's be just as boring? No. In fact, often it's other people's PEQs that give you the most ideas, the most insights, right? Because by seeing what's going on, because most business, the problems are the same. The challenges are the same. And by using this particular process, and again, I could go on and on and on about it, but I encourage you to have a look below at some of the testimonials that we have for people who have done the PEQ process. It's the most powerful thing we know to work in a mastermind session. This is not one of those masterminds where you sit round a table and just have a chat. It's not the approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's much better than doing nothing. But we didn't want to do that. We could have done that. We'd have no problem selling that out. But we want to try something different. We want to try something radical. We want it to have results. We know that it's going to happen over a 12-week period. So it's either going to work or it's not going to work. We know the type of people that we want. We want people who want to make a difference, who are prepared to try something new, to take them to the next level from where they are. And as I've said, and I'm sure hopefully you've long gone by now, it really is for existing business owners. Traditional, offline or online, I really don't mind, because let's face it, there's not a lot of difference these days. If you're offline, you need an online component. If you're online, you need an offline component. So to me, that's the type of person we're looking at. Just as a reminder, the process for signing up is you'll go to the link on this page. There you'll sign up and you'll put down a deposit of $3,000, which represents the $1,000 a month for the 3 months that we're going to do this, the 12 weeks that we're going to do this. Then what will happen is you'll get a receipt and you'll get instructions on the thank you page of where to email that receipt, so that I will get in touch with you personally to organise an interview time. Okay? We'll have that interview. One of two things will happen. We'll figure out we're a good match and you'll be accepted into the program, or it won't work and I'll make sure you get that money back instantaneously. Okay? Which is fine. And if it ends up we have more people apply, which I think tend to happen every time we've done this, if we end up having more people than we can have, then some people are going to miss out. We may do this again down the track. Maybe. But what I know for sure is we'll never do it as cheap as we're doing this today. Because, I mean, just look around. For this type of access to myself, to Dan, to John, and to Rob, you know, as I say, just look around at the cost of these sorts of programs. And particularly given the unique way that we're going to do that. We really are looking for people all around the planet. We're prepared to run a couple of group sessions each week so we capture off those different time zones. It's going to be pretty amazing. There are no guarantees, there are no refunds, and don't forget, you're going to need a budget of $600 above the $3,000, which I hope you'll get back. But if you miss your acts of accountability, you'll lose $60 that week. And that means Dan Rain's minibar bill, the most offensive thing that I could think of to put this money to, that's where it's going to go. And we will send you pictures. Okay? This is going to be really cool. I hope that, look, I know some of you guys, this is going to be exciting for you. I think this is going to change the way people think about doing these mentoring, group, mastermind, platinum-y type programs. Because this is all about result. There are no guarantees from us. There are no refunds. The result is effectively up to you. But we're using every little bit of science that we know that is effective to make sure you get yourself that result. And this is the kickstart. This is the pattern interrupt that you need to make a difference in 2013. It's going to be awesome. I hope you join us. I can't wait. Grab the link below, pop in your deposit, and follow the instructions, and I'll be in touch to arrange an interview time, and I can't wait to get started. Please, if you're thinking about doing it, go for the interview, please, because, as I say, it's going to fill up. So get in there so we can sort that out and get you and I talking together. There you go. It's going to be fantastic. But most importantly, it's going to be effective for you, because you are going to make it effective for you using the latest science and meta-learning techniques on the planet. All right. Hopefully click that link and we'll speak soon.